So, Jim, as we go into this earnings report, by the way, shares of Chipotle up right now in the pre-market ahead of that report. What's the key metric to watch? Same-store sales, is that what you want to watch? I mean, how do we see if Chipotle's been impacted by recession fears, fears of an economic slowdown? What are the signs?
Yeah. So I think same-store sales is certainly going to be the number one metric that everyone's going to have their eyes on. The company is lapping some really successful limited time offerings last year, barbacoa, chicken al pastor promotions. They announced earlier that they're rolling out their hot honey chicken, which came out system-wide on March 7th. So any early reads on that and how we start to see the progression into 2Q, worth noting that their 2Q is their hardest year-over-year comparison. They did over 11% in 2Q of 2024. So I think, same-store sales for the quarter and then any nuggets we can pick up about kind of the progression into 2Q and then the back half of the year.
So let's talk about the tariff and trade war impact when it comes to Chipotle. We've had some great guests on the show. One of them, the Milken chief economist, Billy, he's come on and said, if things are tariff, people will switch to other things. But there's only one avocado. There's only one guacamole. There's no substitute for that kind of a thing. When we're looking at Chipotle, what other areas of their business are also impacted by tariffs and have a very low possibility of substitution? Because I like guacamole. I don't think there's anything else like that.
Yeah. So I think if you look across consumer discretionary, restaurants typically source more domestically than, other consumer discretionary kind of shoes, household products, things like that. Obviously, avocados is the big headline here. They've actually done a good job of diversifying their supply chain. The company's talked about only around 50% of their avocados come from Mexico. They have diversified sourcing, Colombia, Peru, Dominican Republic. And so I do think that you'll see less impact, Chipotle specifically, in the restaurants more broadly than maybe some other consumer discretionary stocks. The other thing to think about, too, is depending on how fast of a resolution we get, you could see consumers maybe pause spending on some of these other discretionary items as they wait for the tariffs to get resolved, which frees up some spending in the near term that might get allocated towards restaurants given the lower impact from tariffs.